Legends. Okay. Alrighty. So I've had my break. I feel so much better, nice and refreshed. We are now going to go through and basically we're just going to adjust the levels and pan. Really simple. Nothing too complex. You can start all at Unity if you prefer. I like to have it just down a little bit, but you could start at Unity and then you can just basically work into it. So I like to start just having a bit of a listen, and as I listen through, I'll just go through and change the levels as to what I want to hear. Nothing complex. There is nothing complex. There is no right or wrong. Mixing's subjective. This is where you can listen to your reference song. So you could have a listen and go, okay, well, the guitar's quite dominant or the piano's quite dominant and I really like that. Or the vocal sits on top of the mix or the vocal sits in the mix, whatever it is. And we'll work towards making that happen. But at the moment, we're just going to go through and just balance it out to as I hear it, as you hear it. So you can do the same thing. Okay, so here we go. We can also change the pan. I like to think of mixing, this is just the basic parameters of mixing, but I like to think of it like I am looking at a stage. So when I'm looking on the stage, I'll see a guitar off to the side. So I'm probably not going to leave the guitar in the center. I'll leave the guitar maybe off to one part over here, and maybe I'll have the other guitarist on that side. Just to give it a bit of differentiation for the listener, it creates a little bit of excitement. So this is just very simple, but we'll go through, we adjust the levels and the pan as well. And it's a good time to turn that shaker down because it is driving me crazy. Okay, so just wanted to note here on the piano, you can see it's a stereo track, but we've only got one signal coming out. Okay, that's because somewhere along the line, not there, but somewhere along the line I have put on a, I should use vintage console, stereo is good. Maybe it's this EQ. Yeah, that's stereo. Maybe it was the channel EQ. Oh, the culprit. I think I found it. The channel EQ. See how it's mono? That's what I was saying before. So I just want to make sure that that's going to be stereo. So I'll just check that for everything that's supposed to be a stereo track. So the overheads, is that going to be... Yeah, so it's turned everything that was stereo into mono. So I'll just go in and I'll go through and change that. I think these were... All right, legends. So we're going to go through and just mix into that bus compressor, adjust the levels and the pan as needed. And we can turn that shaker down, which has been driving me a little crazy. And that violin, which is cool, but it's so loud. And you can see that bus compressor is just dancing a little bit with the levels, the meters at the moment. That's perfect. Doesn't have to do much. It's just to mix into it. Without, with it, just controls those dynamics just ever so slightly. Okay, I'm going to actually turn everything up just a smidgen. This is really cool. If you click and hold Control and then click on the pan window, for example, here at the shaker. So I'll put that back at center. Remember, just to get back to center and or zero unity on a fader, you would just click Options. If I wanted to just reset something on the fader, just click Option. It'll bring it back to unity. If I'm all the way over here with the pan and I click Option on the pan, it'll bring it back to zero. So now I like this. Okay, and I do want to move it over into the left speaker slightly, but I want to move the whole stereo image. So if I click, like I said, Control and on to the pan window, it brings up stereo pan. I'm going to select that and then just move it over a bit as I listen to it. Yeah, nice. Okay, so we don't have any EQ at all. We don't have any real compression. I mean, we've got a little bit of vibe going on here with this console with a bit of vintage vibe, but we haven't added anything. We haven't subtracted anything or attenuated any frequencies. So the only thing we got going on is a little bit of the bus compression. That's it. Apart from that, we've just balanced the signal a little bit, and we could go through and fine tune this as we're going. So the next step now would be, now that we've got a basic balance, and there might be things also, just bear this in mind, there might be stuff that we want to turn up and then turn down later on. So that could be a vocal. It could be, let's say the verse is a bit quiet and we want to turn that up, or it could be in the chorus, it needs to come up more. We could turn it up more compared to the verses, or we could turn the chorus down, or we could do the same thing. We can automate the levels and frequencies of EQ, as well as automate reverbs and the sends to the reverb, etc. So we'll look at all that later. Now what we're going to do is just look at the compressor and the channel EQ, basically go through and we're going to EQ the track a little bit and give it a bit of compression. So that's the next step here. And then we're going to add some reverbs and some effects and some automation to give it a bit of life. So Legends, Apple S for save. And now what I'm going to do is go through and we are going to add a bit of EQ, a little bit of compression on some of the tracks that need it. We'll talk about it, we'll think about it, and we're just going to sculpt this mix. So we're going to start sculpting it in the direction and in the sound that we want. Remember, if you've got that reference mix, to pull it out, have a listen. The guitars are a really good time. You have a listen, you go, oh, I like the guitars, they sound a little bit brighter. That's going to influence your decisions. Oh, the vocal sound a little bit louder. That's going to influence your decision-making process. The vocals sound compressed. When you start hearing the sound of compression, you might actually recognize, oh, the drums sound really crunchy or really compressed or whatever it might be. So I would recommend that you spend probably a portion of your mix listening, and then a portion of your mix listening process listening to your reference mix and trying to sculpt it with that as your orchestrator, so to speak, or your the person leading you, your mentor, we'll call it your mentor. Okay, so I'm going to go through, start EQing and start compressing some of the stuff. I like to start systematically, pretty much from the left to the right, but I'll probably keep jumping over to the acoustic guitars, probably jump over to the lead vocal. Just bear with me. We can go straight to 60 Hertz here. We can double click on the number and that'll bring it to 60 Hertz. And then we can turn that up a little bit. Ooh, nice. Getting a little bit of that thump there. Let's bypass what we're doing. I like that. Now let's have a listen to taking out some of the frequencies, those lower frequencies here, if we were to do that. Yeah, I like that. Okay. So it's amazing what difference just EQ can make. So I'll turn that on and off. So just with the EQ there, it's actually giving it a little bit of room in the mix. So without it, it's not cutting through. It's sort of just flat and dull and boring. But then when I add a little bit of EQ, and this is just the stock vintage console EQ, just to remind you where I got that was go to Logic, go to EQ, and then down Vintage EQ Collection, and that's the one that I've used, the Vintage Console EQ. We've got that open. So such a good plugin, such a, limiting your options can be overwhelming when you start. When you actually go to Logic and you go EQ and then you see all these EQs and you're like, hang on, and there's even more here. So I've got three, like I've got like 7 EQs or something, and it can be daunting. So limiting what you've got can actually be really cool. And this is a Pultec style EQ. It's sort of fun to play around with. And we're going to try and experiment with another EQ as well. So now we've got our EQ. We'll tweak this as we go, but we'll have a look at a little bit of compression on that kick as well. It's quite a flat signal all the way through. You can see it probably doesn't need a huge amount of compression, but we'll play around. Now, while I'm on this, guys, take advantage of some of your user presets. So the user presets are fantastic just to get started. So you got your search window here. If you go down to drums, and then let's have a listen. If we go VCA soft kick and then have a listen, how does that sound different to the rock kick or to the slammed kick? What's going on? How's that looking with the parameters? What compressor is being used? How much threshold is being applied, etc. Okay, so I'll just try some of these out. But in the sculpting sense, like I said, I probably don't want to do a huge amount with the kick. I'll probably just get about couple of dB of reduction and just have a bit of more of a tone than anything that I'm getting from the compressor. But let's have a listen. So that's huge reduction there. Probably don't need that much. So I'll change the threshold settings. Yeah, so I quite like that. I'll try another one. Let's just try another preset. And I can actually save some of these presets as well. So if I like something that I do, you just go over here, you go save as, save, and you can then create a folder. So let's say I'll tweak some of these parameters and I'll save something. Okay, nice. Beautiful. Let's say I've tweaked that. I'm really happy and I'm going to go save as. I save as, and then I can create here I can put where I want to save it. So I'm going to save it in the compressor. I might create a new folder and I'll call this Sven compression, right? I could call it Sven compression. I put it here and I'll call this, I don't know, let's say kick, ST kick. Just keep it easy, right? So ST kick 1. All right, so ST Kick 1. Now you've noticed that it's come up here in the preset and I've also got it here. So that's my folders, ST Kick. If I create more, it's just so easy to go into that and then just grab your presets that you like. So we'll have a listen now to like toggling or turning this kick on and off with the EQ and the compressor and just see where we go. Where did it go? Where's it gone? All right, so we want that kick back, okay? Now let's just go through. We'll just continue the same thing with the snare. So I feel that the snare can have more body. So I'm just going to start by putting it on 220 hertz here and just turning up the gain. Nice. one of the tricks I like to do is just when I'm finding the frequency that I don't like, I'll go through and actually turn the gain up on that frequency, or I'll turn that frequency up, so to speak, and just listen to what it is that I don't like, and then I might take it away. Here I can get a little bit of the higher frequencies, a little bit of brightness here on that shelf. So for this style of music that we're working on, I don't want to, I don't want this to be a brick wall of compression where basically you look at the waveform and it's just smashed. I want a bit of life. I want dynamics, and I want to keep that. At the same time, I hear it as it's quite a radio pop song, so I do want to keep that in mind, but I don't want it to be so squashed that it's like a Nickelback single or something like a completely different style. But what I'm saying is I don't want it to be super squashed in the compression side of stuff. So just a few dB where it needs it. I'll show you the guitars probably need a little bit more with the strumming a guitar, and yeah, but I'm pretty happy with that. So. Okay, so I said I'd show you the guitar, so I will. And what I mean by the guitars is the compression, especially that strumming one here. Okay, so if I was to pull the compression right back, sort of at maybe a 4:1 ratio, and that sounds absolutely disgusting. Okay. It's just not what I want to achieve, but I do want, I like the opto compressor. I might use a FET compressor. So guys, I'll just plant a seed. If you get to experiment with these compressors, VCA, your FETs, your optos, digital, experiment with them. You can also just set your settings on one and then flick through them, and it'll apply those settings to other compressors, so you can have a listen to how it would sound with the difference. So I'm just going to have a listen with this opto compressor to start with. Here we go. I sort of like the auto release. I also like that it's taming those bigger strums. So it's actually sort of like it's taking that and it's actually squashing it down some, or taking the gain, deducting the gain on it. I quite like that. We'll have a listen through some of these other compressors. So with this one, for example, if I'm to use this one, I'll probably give it less threshold. Quite like that. Yeah, it definitely tames those peaks some. Okay, so I am still going. We're probably about 20-30 minutes into just mixing. We've mixed the kick, the snare, working on a bit of the acoustic guitars and stuff. I work for about another 20 minutes and I'm going to have a break. But just so you guys know, I'm keeping a note on the time. And that's important for me. I think it's been about 20 minutes anyway. But it's important because I do want to get up and move around, come back with fresh ears, keep listening. A high pass on that shaker. Another cool trick with Logic here with the EQ is if you click and hold on the gain parameter over here on the left hand side, you can see different frequencies. Like you can, I'll show you. You make them bigger, so you can see now. I didn't see that before. But I've set my bass gain at like looking at 70 dB, or I could change it to 25. You can barely see the shaky here. Whereas, you know, I'm going to just move that up and then so I can see what's going on. Yeah, nice. I'm actually going to give it a little bit of shizzle. So not afraid to change pan settings. I'm not committed to anything at this stage. I'm still getting it the way that I want it. And I don't mind the sound of that EQ at all. I'm going to just tail that shaker a little bit. Glock's nice. Probably put the Glock on one side. We haven't touched reverbs yet, or anything, but just while I'm starting to, the mix is starting to, I guess, take shape. I'll go in here. I'm going to go into the channel components or the configure channel strip components, and I'm actually going to set the audio device controls and also put on the output. Okay, so the reason I want to do that is I want to I want to group all of the drums into a bus. So I've just selected here. So the way I've done that is just go to kick, and I'm going to go all the way to the room, and I'm going to send all of the output for that into bus 1. So that means I'll be able to affect everything that's coming into that bus. So I'll go to bus 1. Now the bus will come over here. I don't want it there. So I've got a couple of options now. Remembering there's no point working on the drums then having to fly over to this side of the screen, then back to that side of the screen. That'd drive me crazy. So if you double click on the read node here, that will bring it straight over to behind the room. So, and it's on the track now as well. So I'll call this drum bus, and I'll leave the icon as is. Now the drums will be bussed through here. So if I want to listen to what, I guess if I want to turn the drums off, I could do that, have a listen, but I can now also affect the drums. Pretty cool, because if we wanted to, we could sort of smash the drums a bit and do a parallel mix. I'll show you what that would sound like. So if, for example, we wanted to do that. Oh, look at that. Love this. So you get it just to a place where you, let's say, for example, I don't know if this is necessarily what I want to do here, but you can get it to a level where you're happy with it, and then you can just start big or just start small, and then just apply a nudge up as you go. It's probably going to be around 20, 25% or something, 18%, but on the parallel compression, that can be really nice underneath. I don't think it's on this one that I want. I could listen to classic drums, etc. I could go through, but I'm going to go in and put in my own compression. So I'll just go here, and I'm going to go to recall default, and now I'll be able to open up what I want, and I'll close all these windows as well. sort of cool. I quite like it, a little crunch under there. Like, it's just so subtle. But like when I take it away, I'm like, oh, I do miss it a little, with that exact voice in my head as well.